According to an article from Boxing Scene, Ben Whittaker went into Saturday's opportunity against Liam Cameron, and he had envisioned himself being not far away from facing the likes of Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. He, being a young upstart from the UK and has quickly found a lot of media coverage, has been very dismissive of his contemporaries, thinking that he may be a golden child of sorts. And when he said, yeah, well, Beterbiev walked past, and I was like, oh, he's not that big. I thought he was this big, massive monster. But yeah, it'll be good to watch them up close. I might lie to you and say I'm going to watch it, but truthfully, after every fight, I go home and eat and play my PlayStation. So I'll be bringing my PlayStation out to Riyadh, and I'll probably do the same there. Well, Liam Cameron has something to say about that. And he didn't bring a PlayStation, but he did show up for a play against Whittaker. Let's talk about how that worked out for Liam. Riyadh season has brought a lot of truth bearing to the sport of boxing. Whether it's been the fighters and their matchups showing us exactly who they are, or whether it's been how the promoters have had difficulty getting fighters to take fights that fans want to see, and they're no longer able to hide behind blaming the promoters, where guys need to take their careers into their own hands. And then you have guys who are coming into the sport and they're being anointed as something for the future, even though they still have to get through the present moment. And such was the case when Ben Whittaker, light heavyweight, you want to call him prospect out of the UK, was pegged to fight Liam Cameron, another fighter from the UK who has been around. He's a veteran, and at the age of 33 didn't want to come in and play and take this for granted, because he's had some circumstances outside the ring that have affected his life and his career. And so he came in all sincerity with an idea towards challenging Whittaker, who he considered someone that was just kind of like puff, smoke, mirrors. And by the end of their fight on Saturday night, which ended early, but not for why you might think if you didn't see the fight. This fight ended when the two fighters toppled over the top of the ring apron and came crashing to the canvas outside of the ropes. And after getting up, Cameron went to his corner. They waited for Whittaker, who laid there and began to express agony. He couldn't continue. And so they went to the scorecards, people. And what came of this match between these two men? A split decision technical draw, with Whittaker unable to continue after allegedly sustained an injury when both fighters fell over that ring apron. The clown show began when, early in the match, we could see that Liam Cameron was all business in pursuit of Whittaker, who normally clowns and hams it up, showboats, and has antics that are similar to Prince Nassim Hamed from over there as well. But on this particular night, he wasn't doing so much of the showboating and clowning, and Cameron gave him reason to take note early on with fierce, hard right hands that he was dropping on Whittaker, who couldn't seem to get out of the way of those shots. Yes, the inexperience began to show. With only 8 fights under his belt, though he's been in with lesser opposition, this was a more experienced fighter with 29 fights under his belt. So, they both were orthodox fighters, but there was something about the strength and fortitude of Cameron that was testing the will of Whittaker early. And guess what? Whittaker began to cave in. This is something that happens sometimes when guys are really not made a certain type of way. Yeah. You see, Whittaker found that his flashy shots that were nothing more than peppering shots to Cameron weren't doing anything. He tried to move and give angles, but Cameron was wherever he went. And this is what I noticed that began to give him the most of problems. The body shots that Liam Cameron was hitting him with. Really tough, debilitating body shots that I noticed that by the end of round 3, Whittaker was no longer moving the way he was during the first couple of rounds. And there was one instance in the 4th where he reached out to grab and hold to tie Liam up, even when Liam wasn't doing anything. He was breaking down mentally. And so when the fateful 5th came around, you could see Whittaker reach out and grab Liam Cameron and pull him to him as they went toward the ropes. And he leaned back against the ropes, pulling Cameron with him. And they fell over the top of the ring apron. The top rope, people. And as they did that, he wrapped his legs around the waist of Cameron as they toppled. This was something that was done with intent. Of course, Cameron got up and was ready to resume the fight, but Whittaker laid there. He complained. He was in agony. When they got him up on a stool, he decided to tell them that it was his leg, his right leg. Something was going on with it. So they removed his boot, which means once they did that, the fight is over. They cut his gloves off. The fight is over. Immediately, Cameron was celebrating. Hey, he can't continue. I'm winning. But they decided to go to the scorecards because it was the 5th round and not the 4th. Judges scored it a technical draw. But Stormy B-Man's scorecards had Whittaker winning the first 3 rounds and Liam Cameron winning the 4th, and I was scoring the 5th for him as well. So he escaped one. Yeah, big time. Whittaker's record now goes to 8 wins, no losses with 1 draw, 5 KOs. And out of that, he'll get a chance to come back, possibly against someone else. I do not believe his people will sign him up for a rematch with William Cameron. But Cameron could get another payday because he was performing just as all other fighters in this Riyadh season event to the best of his abilities. And so his record presently 23-6 with 1 draw being with Whittaker and 10 KOs. He may get another look in the light heavyweight division. And I hope he does, because a fighter like he, who was trying to seize the opportunity, and he was all in. He talked about it. When they asked, do you think that Whittaker quit? He absolutely answered in the affirmative by simply saying, yes. Not long-winded, but he showed the seriousness of his intent to make the most of an opportunity. And I hope that he gains another, because we need professionals to step up to the plate. And sometimes these professionals can expose when there are bad seeds in the batch. Yeah. As for Whittaker, he left the stadium in a wheelchair, not on a stretcher, but in a wheelchair, people, waving to fans, smiling. He was unavailable for an interview. How convenient. I've seen mistakes like this before. Bernard Hopkins has pulled it at least 3 times in his own career. But you have to wonder when a fighter with only 8 fights under his belt decides to take a knee, so to speak. In this regard, what else will he try to avoid in the murky waters of boxing? It remains to be seen. But hey, we can talk about it. But what do you think? This is Stormy B. Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are about this circumstance between Whittaker and Cameron. And should they rematch one another? It's an interesting aspect. Leave comments and let's discuss. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.